Welcome back to the Transplanting Podcast. I'm Bear here with Daphne, and we have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation with our guest, and we want to keep the conversation going, and so enjoy part two.
That works for me. I can do that. I think I'm running out of scriptures here. I was going through trying to see if there's any other ones that I picked up, but I'm not finding a lot. Those are the big ones that you tend to see is where they're talking about cross dressing, and then where they're talking about that. I just think going back to the eunuch thing, right, is that it does mention there that some were made, some were born that way, and then some were chosen. Or
Right.
I got to go back to it.
Right.
It was what, Matthew 19? I think so. Matthew 19.
You said 3 through 12, or
Yeah, here we go. Some have been made from birth. There are some made eunuchs by others, and then so my understanding though is the made eunuchs by others. These were people, and again, maybe it was an ace kind of thing, but they chose to be more of a servant of the kingdom rather than being one of those that married and did that. And so they were again taking care of the queen and that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, made eunuchs by others was not a part of Jewish religion. And remember that Christianity was a movement inside of Judaism when it began. So that wasn't a thing in Judaism and early Christianity. Some people are born eunuchs was more you're not interested in sex, and that's okay. And others have chosen to be eunuchs as kind of some people choose a life of asceticism. So they can focus on other things, and in a world without birth control, especially if you're a woman, that's why a lot of women chose to become nuns, is the freedom to do other things in a world without birth control.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the most feminist things you could do at the time. So, when people ask, what would Jesus do? What I see him doing over and over again is saying there are different people and different ways of being. And, what would Jesus do? Well, I look at Jesus in the story of the centurion from Matthew 8.
Wait, I'm jumping over. Matthew 8.
Right? Matthew 8.
Matthew 8.
Verses 5 through 13.
5 through 13. That's going to be this whole
Right.
section, Jesus heals the servant.
Right. So, okay. So this is one where translation really comes into it. So, Capernaum was a Romanized city in the Jewish Judea area, and so because of the bodies of water and the pleasant weather, there were a fair number of Roman retirement villages for like centurions, for soldiers. And they liked the weather, they liked living by the water. So it was very multicultural because, you'd have Gauls.
What's a Gaul?
French people. The French. So because Rome conquered what we now call France, but was Gaul at the time, the Galatians. Yes, they were French people. So they were these like retired French soldiers, right? It's wild to think of that because we come from such a Eurocentric view, and then to think that the white people, the Europeans, were like the weirdos. They were these like, look at those lobsters with their sunburned skin. In the hot Middle Eastern sun.
Oh my God!
So here you've got a centurion, which meant that he was in charge of a group of 100 soldiers. So he's like a captain or something, in modern day terms. I'm not good with modern military stuff. And so Jesus is, in town, and he's heard that Jesus heals people, and so the centurion is like, look, my servant. Now, here's where you got to stop and untranslate.
Okay.
The word that is being translated servant is doulos pita. Doulos
And it's
pita.
not food.
And it's not
That's
food.
exactly what I thought.
Right?
It's a pita.
So what doulos pita means is your body servant. Now think body servant in the most salacious way possible, because it was also gay code for a servant who served your personal needs.
The way she says it. Personnel.
Okay? So basically this centurion,
Come wash my horse.
right? This centurion
Nay.
has his love pony at home.
Also nay.
They didn't bridle their passions.
They did not. And his doulos pita, his body servant, is paralyzed and in pain. And so this guy is desperate. He's coming up to Jesus and he's basically saying, will you heal my lover? Will you heal my lover? And to Jesus, who's part of a Jewish movement where they don't accept gay people. And Jesus says, without hesitating, I'll come right now. In a culture that says you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to share a table with people who are not Jewish,
Less than.
who are eunuchs, as it were. So Jesus is not hesitating. You know, what would Jesus do? Well, Jesus would say, I'm coming to your house, and I'm going to heal your lover. And the centurion's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, you don't have to do that. I know that that's against the Jewish rules. I lived here long enough. I mean, that's what he's basically saying, you know, whoa, I'm not worthy, but meaning basically I'm not kosher. I'm not kosher. I'm not ritually pure. Your people don't hang with my people.
Right.
I'm not worthy for you to come into my house. My house isn't kosher. And keeping kosher is a Jewish, it's not just about food. It's not just about, we don't mix milk and meat or have, you know, multi-fiber garments. You know, we don't have cotton polyester garments. It is a whole lifestyle about maintaining ritual purity and also health in the time before germ theory. So he's basically saying, look, I eat pork. You wouldn't want to, you know, because coming to my house involves food. I eat pork. My kitchen isn't kosher. I'm not Jewish. So it's basically what the centurion is saying is, you don't have to come to my house. My house isn't, you don't want to be seen there. And, you know, but, and I believe that, you know, dude, you've got the goods, you've got the power. I know what it's like to be in charge of things. If I say to a man, you go here, he goes. So I believe that if you just say that my servant is healed, that's enough. You don't have to come to my house, man. And Jesus is like, wow. My people say that they are God's people, and I've never seen faith like that in my life.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, your lover is healed. So what did Jesus do when he encountered the gay man? He said, I'm coming to your house. Because that's a symbolic way of saying if the priest or the Pharisee is willing to come to your house, what they mean is you are socially acceptable. Having the rabbi come to dinner means that puts like this stamp of approval on your household as you are now considered kosher.
Yeah.
So what did Jesus do when Jesus encountered the queer person in the public square? Jesus said, I'm coming to your house because you're cool.
Because you're cool.
You're cool.
I like it.
So this is what, it's passages like Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors, one of my beloved LGBTQIA pastors who passed away last year. Did a lot of research on the story of Joseph and the Coat of Many Colors, and she said it wasn't a coat, it was a dress.
Interesting.
It was a dress. And Joseph's brothers were pissed because Joseph went around wearing a dress in beautiful, bright colors.
It's Joseph.
So, and what does God do? And then Joseph ends up being the hero of the story. So is Joseph trans? Is Joseph the trans hero of...
Well, then I'm going to come back and say, is Jesus trans? Right?
Right?
No, no physical dad. Mom has a miracle birth, so XXX sex chromosomes. Is
Well,
Jesus trans?
I would say that as a Trinitarian, that's a difference between Orthodox Christianity and Mormonism, is that we are Trinitarians.
Right.
We believe that Creator, Christ, and Spirit are of one personality, and that if Creator is genderful, so is Jesus.
Fair enough. Can't argue that.
Right?
You keeping up here, Bear?
No.
Mostly? Not
I
at
know
all?
this is not the Christianity that you get on the 700 Club, right? This is not the Christianity that's showing up in people's churches and protesting funerals. And they, quite frankly, to get a little bit present day and political, I am disgusted at the number of conservative Christians who are saying, how dare they disrupt a worship service? And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
They have been disrupting worship services in churches like mine for years. They have been disrupting memorial services with grieving families for years. One of our local churches who was trying to do a shelter for the homeless, they had people, standing outside and honking their horns and making noise during worship services just because they were trying to help the homeless. So,
Yeah.
come on. Yeah, so it's rules for them and not for us. Come on.
We cherry pick what we want to see.
Yeah, and I think that a deeper view, that brings us back to the beginning of, I'm not Jesus. I just work for him. I don't claim to be God and to know all the things. But the God that I've experienced, the God that I read in Scripture through study that's a little more in depth than the Bible says that I believe it, shows a God that has a lot more compassion and acceptance, and is maybe a member of the queer community.
Makes sense. So I want to go ahead and turn chapters here.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do? Right?
Right.
So the other thing that we can look at is we went through most of the scriptures that directly address where people are using passages to argue against the trans community come from the Old Testament. So if we go forward into the New Testament, do they still matter?
So one of the things that it's funny to me because conservative Christians are big on what's called supersessionism. That's the idea.
That's a fun word.
Right? That's the idea that the New Testament supersedes it invalidates everything in the Old Testament. Like none of the law matters, none of that stuff matters, and yet they're bringing it up. Whereas those of us in progressive Christianity say supersessionism is anti-Semitic.
But supersessionism has a foundation. That's not something that just came out of nowhere.
It does, but it's not a biblical foundation. because
I think it is, though, isn't it?
Because Jesus Jesus's arguments are the same arguments as the prophets. The same arguments for caring for the poor, for justice, for the poor and the disenfranchised, for for holding the rich and powerful responsible for their injustice, for their actions or lack of actions. So for those of us who take the Hebrew Bible seriously, we see a lot of parallels between the teachings of the prophets and the teachings of Jesus.
I'm not saying that they're not similar, but also when you go look in there, I think the scripture used here is Matthew 5, right? 17, right?
Yeah, do you not think I've come to abolish the law or the prophets?
I became to fulfill. And so a lot of them will use the argument that that he's fulfilled the law that was in the Old Testament. So then a lot of the stuff from the Old Testament, or arguably all the stuff from the Old Testament doesn't matter because we can go back to what Jesus then taught.
Right? And if they were consistent with that and quit using all those clobber passages from the Old
Right?
Testament, there wouldn't be, right? We wouldn't be talking.
So what's the difference?
But then if you keep on reading, it says, therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so. It's that I think it comes back to Jesus's definition of the law and the prophets, God's definition of the law and the prophets, versus how a lot of the people were translating it and editing it.
Fair.
And I just keep coming back to John Dominic Crossan and that
You just like him.
I do. I've met him. So I go to lectures for fun. I went to a 3-day lecture with John Dominic Crossan.
Why not? Who doesn't?
Right. I mean, I know. I'm sick and twisted that way. But it is that.
Take a shot every time they say Jesus.
Right. Jesus, you're going to be drunk.
I would die.
But the idea.
It's holy water.
I do not have magic hands.
You have a wand.
Right? And it doesn't work either.
Aw.
It doesn't work either. Protestants don't believe in holy water.
Oh.
The idea that when Jesus is talking about the law, what Jesus is really talking about is that the law can be summed up and Rabbi Hillel said,
I know where you're going with this.
right?
I
love
do.
God and love your neighbor.
Right. And so that is where I was going to end up was at that point, right? Because when they come to look at this, what was the law before that, right? The 10 Commandments, that what you were saying is
And
the
what
only
was
one.
the law before the 10 Commandments?
I don't actually know.
Hospitality.
Fair. That's fair.
Right?
Right?
Because of Abraham.
Right.
Right.
I can follow that.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, but if we want to go into the 10 Commandments, right? We got that first one's what? Honor God, or there's no other
Love
God
the Lord
before
your
me.
God.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
other gods before me. The second one's no idols. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Sabbath day, keep it holy. Honor your parents. We got don't kill, adultery. Don't steal, don't bear false witness, and don't covet, right?
Right.
So we got a list here of like, here is your set commandments, right? And everybody's sitting here doing this. Fast forward to Jesus' time, and Jesus is like, yeah, well, there are the commandments, but we can sum them all up into 2 commandments: love Jesus and love your neighbor. And under that come all the commandments, right? And so, like, if we really want to come in at it, first off, we don't own God. We don't own God.
Right.
You know, second off, if we want to keep going here on this Matthew 5 thing, right? The same section here, going to 20, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you'll never enter the kingdom of heaven, okay? don't gatekeep. This is what I'm taking out of this is don't sit here and
Yeah.
be gatekeeping heaven. That is not your calling. That is not your place. That's up to, if we want to go ahead and subscribe to the theory of religion, then we have to turn around and go, that is not your place. That is God's place. That is Jesus's place, whatever. Jesus is the one that went and fulfilled that, right? And so if
Right.
we're going to go in and go with it, it is Jesus's place to go ahead and be the person to let you in. It's God's place, well, or same, right? Because of the Trinitary. But if it's their place to take care of it. It is not our place. Our place is not to sit here and own God. It's not to gatekeep heaven. It's not to judge anybody else, because that's not our job. Our job is to love
Yep.
and love. That's the
Our
commandment.
job is love.
Yes.
The Benedictines call it the rule of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes under that. And so I think anybody coming in here and taking scriptures that are meant to tell you how to be better, to tell you how to live in a society in a better way,
Yeah.
how to improve yourself, if you're turning around and using these and turning the Bible into a sword or a weapon to
Yeah.
be used against somebody else, you are misusing the Bible in the first place. You are not fulfilling what it is Jesus. I mean, Jesus literally came down, if we're going to go with this again, right? Came down, and the Pharisees are gatekeeping heaven. You know, they are reading the scripture and saying, this is what it means. You have to follow these things. And if we were to sit here and go, you're wrong because all these scriptures, whatever, then we are now turning into the Pharisees ourselves and not listening to Jesus. And so I would argue and just say that you have two commandments,
Right.
love and fuck everything else.
Preach, sister. and once again,
I
I'm going
might
to say,
get wound up here.
right? Once again, I'm going to say, don't be too hard on the Pharisees, because they were a movement that was meant to say, just because your ancestor is Abraham doesn't mean you're behaving like it. So their focus on laws was meant to encourage people to put their faith into action. They got stuck in the paperwork. And that's why Jesus interacted with them so much. And you know, our modern Judaism is not the Pharisees, but they are the descendants of the Pharisees. And, you know, Rabbi Benjamin is out there with me on the streets.
Yes.
You know,
I mean, that's where I found you guys.
right.
You know, we where I originally found you was there was the ICE protest, and
Yeah.
I'd never been to a protest, and I just wanted to see what it was about, and I showed up, and it was just a wild experience to begin
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just going to say not at all what the news makes it out to be.
Oh, not at all.
But when I was there, I got way overwhelmed and really overstimulated on the way out.
Yeah.
I saw you and him were filming each other,
Pastor
making
Drew and I, yeah.
Yes, and you were doing a message for some kind of congregation thing.
Well, really just a public message on behalf of our fellow clergy.
Yes.
Is we were all reading the same statement about the belovedness of our immigrant neighbors and our queer neighbors.
Yes.
And in all of our neighbors in this season where love seems to have gone out the window.
Yes.
And really the reason a bunch of us were doing that was because our higher ups were saying nothing and we couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
So our higher ups have since caught up. It takes the institution a while to get there.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So we just wanted to go down to the ICE building because we're local and film in front of the Portland ICE building because that was
Yeah.
hot in the news, just to say here it is. Here
Well,
it is.
and then this brings us back again, though, back to exactly where we were just at, right? What are the commandments? Love and love
your neighbor.
Clothe the
Yes.
clothe the homeless, feed the
Feed the
hungry, help
care
the
for the
sick,
orphan and the
right?
widow
All
and the
these things
sick.
that, especially among conservative Christians, you're finding all the feedback, all the flack for it, right?
Well-
And
and
how is that not love and love?
And here's another thing is that the
Or how is it love and love?
translation of, you know, that latter part of Matthew 25 of like 35 through 45 or whatever it is is it's translated as welcome the stranger, but stranger in that context was foreigner, meant foreigner. So I was a stranger. So verse 43, I was a stranger and you did not welcome me. This list of the least of these people whom Jesus claims as members of his family, that stranger literally means foreigner. So we're talking about, I was an immigrant and you did not welcome me.
Right.
Like, oh, honey, you're going to find yourself in the goat's pen for this behavior. This is like this is literally the only teaching of Jesus. This is where Jesus says, how you end up in hell? And it's by not showing love to people.
Yeah.
The only one.
So with that in mind, let's jump over into going forward.
Yeah.
Right. First off, let's talk a little bit about conversion therapy.
Oh, God.
Is it really bad?
Yes,
Why?
it's horrible. Because it does not respect the God's creation of our queer beloveds. And it is violent and it doesn't work.
Is
it's scientifically bad.
I mean, but let's jump into the religious side of it though. Is it not preaching the word?
No.
Why?
Because Jesus never said it was wrong to be queer.
I would also argue to say that you can't force it on people.
Yeah.
And that's the entire premise behind it, is we're just going to shove this down your throat until you accept it.
Yeah, Jesus was never about taking people's autonomy away. I mean, God gave us free will. I'm not sure if that was a good choice, but it is a choice that God made. We have done some pretty awful things with that free will, but God did give us free will. So trying to make people not be who they are is wrong. It's just deeply wrong. It's incompatible with Christian teaching.
That is fair. Let's talk about our bodies.
Yeah.
So we can agree that there is a gender spectrum out there under the hand of God. Mm-hmm. Is it breaking the commandments to align your body with it? Because, I mean, technically God gave you a body. So if you sit here and start changing your body, is that breaking that? Is that disrespecting God because we're trying to fix our body?
No.
Why?
That was a very deliberate no.
Well, is it breaking God's commandment to get treatment for cancer? Is it breaking God's commandment to take antidepressants or anti-anxiety? Is it breaking God's commandment for me as a perimenopausal woman to take hormone therapy? I mean, it's...
Okay, what if just rich person wants to get a boob job, though?
It's
halfway semi-serious question, though.
Seriously. Humans have been doing body modification since the beginning of time, whether we're talking about scarification, ear piercings, tattooing, wild haircuts. At least now we can do body modifications safer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I don't see the difference between gender affirming. Did you know that the vast majority of gender affirming mammioplasty on people assigned male at birth is breast reduction so that they feel more cis?
Run that by me again.
The vast majority of gender affirming surgery by people assigned male at birth is mammioplasty, is breast reductions, that they can feel more masculine. Straight,
yes,
straight men.
I'm following.
Straight men
Straight
getting
cis men.
breast
Yeah, no.
retractions.
Right.
Yeah,
I was.
it just clicked for me too.
Sorry.
I was like, wait, what?
I-
Yes, no.
it took me a minute to
yes,
wrap my
no,
head.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, yes.
So how come that's okay?
Yes.
Right?
Getting hairlines refixed.
Right?
Yeah, off of that, the medical condition when cis men have gynecomastia,
Right.
and they want to eliminate that.
Yeah.
That is, yeah,
Right?
that's what you do.
Or people want more facial hair or less facial hair. That's body modification. That's gender affirming care.
Grafting and
Right.
all that. Yeah.
I don't see the difference.
Let me
So-
give one example here that brings it a little more personal than just calling out cancer and things like that. Okay.
Right.
Me and my ex, we were married for 11 years, and it was not a bad marriage. We got along just fine. We weren't fighting, but also we just didn't connect in the way that married couples were supposed to connect, right? It just was what it was. We were really good friends, but not a great married couple,
Right,
right?
right.
And that's just how it was. We ended up having 7 miscarriages. Okay, and it was rough. It destroyed us. I mean, it really wrecked it, and it also, I'm going to say, damaged in some ways relationships around us too.
Yeah.
Right? Because other
Yeah.
people don't know or don't understand these things. They don't know how to respond. All these
Yeah.
things, right? We ended up eventually we got one kid. Okay, and she was born. She was born, and everything, we're yay, everything's good, And I mean, just the most adorable little baby. I mean, she was so tiny, 6 pounds
yeah.
something. I mean, she was adorable, and she was in like the bottom 3% of weight and size.
yeah.
She was really tiny, and anyway. Everything's going good. We're excited about it. And then they're doing all the testing and everything. And the doctors come running in and they just go, hey, something's wrong here. And they're doing all the patches on the baby. And, oh my God, it breaks your heart watching that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that thing like rips coming off. And so like their first experiences are pain,
Yeah.
and that's rough. But as they go in, they're checking everything. They go, hey, your daughter has a hole in her heart.
Oh,
Right.
Right.
And so we lucked out in our case that it was between the right to not directional, the correct to what do you call the sections?
Chambers.
Chambers. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I am not medical.
right.
I can call out a Band-Aid. Anyway, they were between the correct 2 chambers to where she had too much oxygen rather than not enough
Right,
oxygen.
right.
And so it worked out okay. She stayed with us and we were in the hospital every week to every other
yeah.
week through this time, right? Until 4 months old. And then they went ahead and did open heart surgery on her. That breaks your heart. Okay. I mean,
does.
it just,
Tiny
tears.
little body.
Yes. And we're there in the hospital and they got this big display, and they show all the hearts and they go, here's a elephant heart. It's about like this. And then here's the heart of a horse and it's, like this. And here's some, adult heart is about this size. A child's heart is this size. And then you go into the baby, and we're looking at a heart, this big, and there's
Yeah.
4 chambers in there, and some
That tiny
doctor
little strawberry
is
of a heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's even that big, right? And some doctor has this thing cut open and they're sewing a patch in a chamber on that thing, and I mean it's the most tiny thing. And you don't know if your kid is going to make it or not. Okay, the point of it being, it is okay for us to make changes to the body to make people be better.
Yeah.
Whether it's mentally better, whether it's physically better, it is okay. And I'm going to say even required in some instances.
Yes.
I am also going to say that you cannot be real with yourself and you can also not have a correct relationship with God if you are not being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And so if you are hiding yourself, I think in some ways we're back to Deuteronomy where you're not being authentic, you're not carrying the relationships in the way that you need to be, and you are not being truthful to you or God. And so
Yeah.
I think it's almost required that you be yourself and be authentic. In fact, even that on its own, you don't have to be trans for that. And here we go back again at it, Bear, right?
No.
Doesn't matter who it is. If you're not being authentic, are you really being Christian? Are you really being God's servant?
Well, and there's this doctrine called original sin
Yes.
that is extra biblical, by which means it's not in there. Original sin is not in the Bible. It is an assumption based on the Genesis story, but it's not in the Bible.
It's not actually in the scripts and everything.
No. So
Fascinating.
people who assume original sin think that there's some human beings start out wrong and they need to be made right.
Yes.
Those of us from the progressive side who reject original sin start out believing God made us perfect, like Lady Gaga says, and God didn't make mistakes.
I can't believe we're bringing Lady Gaga into a religious conversation, and I am loving that so much.
She's deeply religious. So that God made us perfect, and then the world messes with us, and so a lot of our spiritual journey is coming back to what Father Richard Rohr would call at oneness.
Yeah.
And that we need to reclaim who we were made to be. And for many people, body modification is like a ritual, because rituals are how we make visible the spiritual, and body modification is a way of gender affirming surgery is a way of making visible the truth that is inside you. So it's to me that that's a ritual by definition. So why would we be opposed to people expressing themselves and coming once again from a theological perspective that embraces science, that if God didn't want us to have scientists, God wouldn't have made us with that capacity. So, that this is part of God's design to create people who have more complicated journeys. Now, why? I don't know. God is mystery.
Yeah.
But my relationship with Scripture, tradition, reason, and experience of the holy in people and in the divine has shown me that body modification is part of the human experience.
How has trans people made a difference in your ministry? Like where I mean, you host a group at your church, and I don't want to go into the specifics of that. But you host a group at your church where queer people can come in and have a safe space to be and have community, so on. You see all kinds of different things, all kinds of different people, personalities, talents, abilities, skills. I mean, you're seeing things. So how have you been seeing trans people affect your ministry?
Honestly, it saved my ministry.
Wow.
In 2020 and 2021, by 2021, I wanted to leave ministry, not because I didn't love God, but not because my Christology was damaged, but because my anthropology was damaged, because I had been through myself, like so many other helpers, like healthcare workers and others of us in helping professions. We were on the receiving end of so much rage and fear and anger, and so many people were angry with me no matter what I did. People were angry with me when I volunteered my church's building to open a shelter for the unhoused during the wildfires in 2020.
Yes.
And then people were angry with me for not having permanent unhoused sheltering at our building.
Yeah.
And it was, no matter what I did, somebody was mad at me. People were mad at me because I was insisting on people wearing masks and having outside air ventilation in our worship services, and people were mad at me because we were worshiping in person at all. I mean, there was just no winning because people were not okay. People were just not okay. And that almost took me out of ministry. And it was my gay ex-con organist, my gay youth director, bikes on dikes, doing their pride ride and wanting to stop at my church. And it has been, they kept me in the game because they needed me to be a progressive, open and affirming, justice-seeking pastor. They needed me to seek my prophetic calling. And the members of this group keep me in ministry on the days that it's hard. And they've kept me in this long enough and they taught my congregation of mostly cishet old white people to love them. And now I get to go out and do clergy accompaniment with immigrants, and
Yes.
my congregation is proud of me, not angry at me.
Yes.
So these, my queer clergy mentors, I wouldn't even be clergy if it wasn't for one of our out clergy, Pastor Dan Saylor, who was my candidacy mentor. Reverend Dr. Jeannie Nepper, who fought for 40 years for queer inclusion in the United Methodist Church, and her wife, Reverend Marcia. If it were not for these people, I would have left the church. They made the church feel safe for me again. And they helped transform my current church into a safe space.
Yeah.
And I needed that. I was up till 9:30 last night with our queer group. And so I'm tired today, and it's worth it. It's worth it. And I'm grateful that I have a church that says, no, you don't have to come into work until 11 a.m. when you're out till 9:30 at night. Come on.
Right.
That doesn't work. So, yeah, the LGBTQIA plus community has made it possible for me to stay in ministry.
I love that. I mean, it's clearly deeply personal.
Yes.
It's touching. It's changing.
Yeah.
Life changing. On a fun side of things, though, we were talking about dykes on bikes. We were talking about body modifications and such, right? So,
Right.
I did something this week. Okay, I went to ChatGPT, and in case you don't know, ChatGPT is my favorite thing. Okay,
Oh, no.
I pray to the ChatGPT gods. Okay.
Oh dear! Don't let them talk to you about your mental health.
Oh, actually, it's really good for that.
No.
No, it is not.
It is, because you could you could go to your ChatGPT thing and you're like, I am really having a hard time right now, and it goes, hey, no problem, babe, let's talk about it, and you're like, okay, and it walks you through, hey, you know what, let's ground right now and let's breathe and do this with me, and it can be really good. I feel like you just want to argue with me on that.
Well, it's just that there have been so many people with ChatGPT, like
It's
all
getting better.
I rejoice that it's getting better. It's not good enough. Like all whole language model AIs, it can't do math. It doesn't have actual feelings, and it was designed to be agreeable. And
Fair.
and people, people who might already be headed in a direction of self-harm have received encouragement for that direction from ChatGPT.
We'll talk about that after this.
Right.
So with this in mind, ChatGPT is my favorite thing. Okay, I use it daily. I love it. Okay, so I went to ChatGPT and I was like, what was it that brought it up? We were talking about motorcycles for some reason.
Yeah, you just asked, like, do you see me, like, riding a motorcycle? I'm like,
Like,
oh,
could
yeah,
I be
you've
like
done
a
that
motorcycle
before.
chick? You think
yeah,
I
can
could?
I be a biker babe?
You don't think so?
kind of deal. And I
I'm
was
sure
like,
you could.
Well, no, okay, so
Yeah,
here's
sure
the deal.
you could,
We were
yeah.
talking about what, affirming who you are, being who you are, and all that kind of stuff, okay? So,
Right.
it gets fun, okay?
Okay.
So, I'm going to share what it shared with me. This is
Right.
Daphne as a biker chick.
Hey, and you have the right number of fingers. I'm so proud of it for
I am
that.
too. So, Bear, just for
Yeah.
you, by the way,
Yeah.
that is, that's boobs. Anyway,
Right?
that's the, over
Yeah.
here is the,
Oh, okay, yeah.
it looks like some
Skull.
skull with a
Right?
biker skull, maybe.
A skull wearing a
Right?
skull cap.
And maybe a different one over here. I don't know.
Skull with a
Get out of the
mustache?
boobs. Anyway, it kept zooming in, and I was panicking for a second. Anyway, it says that, and that is not at all how I
Right?
see myself. But it did that,
Right?
and I was like, okay, well, that's something.
Bikes on Dykes is really they're wonderful people.
I'm not saying they're not. I also don't see that as myself at all.
Right? But this is the Q in LGBTQIA plus is the questioning, is the journey of discovery. And I think that is something that straight people need to learn from too.
Yeah.
Because I didn't become a pastor until I was in my 30s. Because, it took me a while to figure myself out.
Yeah.
And, despite the fact that, when I was a little girl and other little girls played house or they played school, I played church.
Fascinating.
It was there the
You're
whole time.
whipping your back. Shame on me.
No, I was like setting up worship on the back porch and arranging
Mom, I need your wine.
flowers and paraments and setting up chairs for the parishioners, and that never ends.
Oh my God, I got a funny story about that. So I went on the Mormon mission, did the whole thing, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I got a kick, okay, out of like telling people things they shouldn't be told. And so, like, the Mormons build the big temples, the big fancy buildings, right? And I would get asked fairly often what happens in there. And there's just, religious or baptisms and things like that happen in their marriages,
Yeah.
right? So I got a big kick out of telling them, though. I was like, there's a lot of things, just whatever you do when you go, don't look the babies in the eye. The looks of shock they would get on their face.
Oh man.
I'm like, I'm kidding.
Right.
But yeah, so this is what it says for biker Daphne. Okay,
Right,
I saw
right.
myself more along the lines of that, right?
Italian
Yeah.
biker.
Sure, I was just like
Right.
sexy, fast racer
Racer type.
Right.
chick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
see. But I don't really see myself as a biker anyways. I see
Right.
myself more along the lines of that.
Right. Right.
Oh wait, I like that one better. Anyway,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I see.
Right. Right. For like
So-
the 5 warm days in an Oregon summer.
Oh, you don't know me that well. I've been wearing short shorts this entire winter.
Oh my gosh.
Shorts.
I'm in Caprice right now. Tank
Tank
tops.
tops, yeah.
The tank tops don't
You're
stop.
just a
period.
summer girl.
I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like I don't like the hot. I don't like the heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't like dressing up for the cold.
True. True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, going back to the deal about finding yourself, right? I mean, there's tools out there that can help you find yourself. And
Right.
I was watching a TikTok earlier this morning, and you know how they'll have interviewers and they just walk around with a microphone, ask people questions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Guy walks up to some random guy on New York Street, okay, and just says, "How do we know that trans people are?" What was it, agreeable with the Bible or that God is okay with trans people?
I don't remember what you said. Acceptable or something?
Yeah, something like that. Is trans
Right.
people acceptable to God, right? And the answer they had was that trans people remind us that our bodies are only a vessel, and that out there's a bigger spiritual universe that is greater than our social constructs. And I really liked that.
Yeah.
But I would also say that our bodies are holy, that we are embodied spirits.
That's the body modification.
Well, yeah, but your body modification is holy too.
Okay.
So, you know.
I mean, yes, you're
Yeah.
becoming one with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like fixing the hole in your baby's heart was holy
Yes.
in more than one way.
All right. Right.
Kind of reminds me when, well, I think I've said it a few times now on the podcast that I had my affirming surgery, and I had double bilateral, and a lot of people like to say it was mutilation, body mutilation, and it's like modification American, and just. And I've always called it body modification too.
Yeah.
And these are the same people that have tattoos and piercings. And there are also people who are on the fence about it. And they're like, well, you do you, boo. And I'm like, great answer. Live and let live. And just,
Yeah.
come on. You
You know,
know,
it's
this was going to
bodily
happen whether
autonomy.
you like it or not.
Bodily autonomy.
And it's not our place to go call out that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-mutilation. Modification American.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the last segment here, religious trauma. It's a very real thing. A lot of
is.
people go through that in some very big ways.
yeah.
How do people deal with religious trauma, whether it's staying out of the church or coming back to church? Because I'm sure you've seen that before where people had trauma and they come back. How do you deal with that?
One of the things I do, I chaplain at summer camp every summer. It's one of my joys. And the particular high school camp that I chaplain for, MAD Camp, for music, arts, dance, drama, and tech, attracts a lot of LGBTQIA plus students.
Yeah.
And so this comes up every year, and I wear my stole for when we do communion.
That's the big.
That's the piece of fabric, the big scarf that we put over our robes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And so
Yeah.
the stole is a symbol of a yoke, like
Like the oxen.
an oxen yoke, right?
Right.
Because the prophet Jeremiah went around wearing one as performance art to call out the idiocy of his time. But anyway, I explained to them that when I accepted the yoke of becoming clergy, I accepted my part in the guilt of the sins of the Church Universal.
Yeah.
So that this yoke symbolizes not only my holy calling, but the unholy things that the church has also done. And that it is responsible of me to be able to be honest and open and speak the truth about the traumatic things the church has done. And, when it comes to when I'm introducing myself in these kind of spaces, especially with young queer people, is to say, I believe that you are beloved, and I acknowledge the church has done harm. Parts of the church have done harm, and so the whole church needs to bear the responsibility of that harm. So part of bearing the responsibility is admitting that it happened, it was as bad as it was, and committing ourselves to do better. And I'm not perfect. I mess up on people's pronouns, especially when their appearance may not be fully in alignment with their pronouns, or, I'm learning new language. I make mistakes, and I've had to retrain myself that when I make a mistake, then instead of being defensive, to say thank you for correcting me. So that's really a part of it, is to take the language of repentance and turn it back on us, turn it back on the religious authorities, and say we need to practice repentance for the sins of our spiritual heritage.
I love that. I love that. How do we make congregations more accepting of trans people, the LGBTQ community?
Oh, I have had the privilege of knowing the many of the elders, the queer elders in my faith tradition, who fought long and hard for inclusion. And I've sat with them in grief as they said, we used to think that we just needed to keep showing up and show them that we have a life, not a lifestyle. We just
Yes.
need to keep
That's
showing up, and people will eventually see us as the human beings we are. Unfortunately, that wasn't everything that needed to happen. And part of what we are learning, especially in times like these, is that not all beliefs are held for rational reasons, and that
Yeah, tradition.
for tradition, because it's always been a part of your culture, because a lot of people who are currently engaged in in MAGA are they voted for the leopards eating their face party.
It's something that you've just grown up in a community
Yeah.
that's we
the
just support this, and
values
Yeah.
was what you were taught. And so untangling all of that takes time, and it takes love, and it also takes boundaries
and energy.
And what I have discovered as a pastor is that it is hard to do both the work of protecting the vulnerable,
Yeah,
right, and centering the needs of the vulnerable,
Yeah.
doing the kind of leadership that I do, where I'm like, we are unapologetically open and accepting, versus the kind of leadership work that some of my beloved colleagues do, where they are trying to pour into having the conversations with people who do not yet recognize their bigotry as bigotry.
Yeah.
And it's very different work. It requires very different choices, very different leadership skills. And you can't always do both at the same time in the same congregation.
Yeah.
And I think that, I had some people leave my church because they weren't okay with me using the word pride so much. And now ironically,
That's a sin, isn't it?
ironically, they're now attending a church with a trans pastor.
I love irony.
Right? So, and their views haven't changed.
Maybe they don't know.
Right? And it's very confusing, because I'm friends with that pastor, and it's very confusing to them.
Is this the one we've talked about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, it's very confusing. So it's a journey, and I do know that I've gotten to the point where I don't excuse bad behavior because of people's age, because I'm in my 50s now, and when I was in my 20s, everybody used to keep telling me they're just old, their way of life is dying, these views are going away. Just be nice to them. They don't know any better. Well, they've been making new bigoted old men every year, and that still hasn't gone away. So I'm no longer just letting them get away with it.
I love the hell out of my grandma. Okay. She passed away a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Love the hell out of her. Okay. But I remember sitting in her living room and she was talking about some couple that she knows about. They were dating, and it was a white and a black person, and oh
Yeah.
my God, can you believe that?
Right.
And it's just, I don't know if that's really, I don't think that's really good. You're mixing races,
Yeah.
It's old view, sure, and we could sit here and go, hey, that's. I think that we jump in and we
bigoted.
say,
It's
hey,
racist.
it's not okay,
Right.
and it's time that you just recognize that things are different, but also doesn't justify that you don't want to grow with it.
Right.
I mean, if we're going to bring it back to religion, you got to grow with religion. You
Well-
can't just sit stagnant.
I knew I had a parishioner. She was 99 years old when I met her. And she grew up in rural Texas. And she grew up being taught to be by her description, being taught to be racist, being taught to be bigoted against people of other religions.
Yeah.
Catholics, Muslims.
Right.
All these things. And when she was about 95, a Muslim woman moved into the apartment next to her in her
Right.
retirement community. And she got to know her. And so I had the honor of doing her memorial service. She died at 102. She just never stopped learning. And
It's because she had a Dr. Pepper a day,
right.
studies say.
and at her funeral, because she planned it ahead of time and she talked with me about it, she wanted a Muslim prayer, she wanted a Catholic prayer,
Wow.
she wanted music from the Black church, all of the things that she was raised to be prejudiced against. She asked to be included in her
I
memorial.
love that so much.
She lived long enough, and it took until her 90s to learn that Muslims weren't bad people.
Yeah.
But she lived long enough to get to the point where, like, all the boogeymen of her youth had become her friends.
I mean, we're going back to the thing that I keep saying all the time is that fear is driven by ignorance. And if you want to get rid of fear, which again, also is a scriptural thing that you need to get over fear, right?
Yeah,
but
do not
you
be
overcome
afraid.
by learning. You can't we're going to go back to the bigoted thing, right? You can't sit here and be upset with a black person and a white person getting married because that's not okay. If you're stuck in the past, we gotta bring you up to today, and that goes along with Scripture. You can't be stuck in Old Testament because it moved up into the New Testament.
Well,
Things have
and
changed and things grow and improve.
Racism, white Christian nationalism is freaking ridiculous because all of the main characters in the Bible were brown.
Yes,
All of the original church fathers were brown.
is there scripture behind that?
Augustine of Hippo. Augustine of Hippo was an African.
Yeah.
He did-
Well, and it talks about the Ethiopian person, I believe, is in one of the
Yeah.
scriptures.
Yeah, the original Ethiopian church. There are people. There's still a Ethiopian church that claims their foundation from the encounters with the apostles
Yes.
as a part of their history. So, just like in India, there's a legend that the Apostle Thomas traveled as far as India and founded a church there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That was a lot of. That was a lot.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
That was a
was.
lot.
You got a lot to edit.
No. So I really don't edit. Like I sync up the words to the video, but that's really all the editing I do. I don't take something out unless somebody said something. They're like, you know what? I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want that in there. Otherwise, we don't take anything out. It's
Yeah.
raw material.
As somebody who public speaks as a tenth of my job, people always think we don't do anything other than Sunday, and
You don't?
right. But yeah, it's I know that once my words are out, they're out there. So
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I understand that. Heather, that was a long conversation.
It
But
was.
I mean, but this is what I've been wanting, because there is a lot of stigma around it, and we can just hit little things here or there. But I really wanted to just take some time and just really dig in, And I don't know if we did perfect with it, but I mean, we hit a lot of things and brought up a lot of points that I think are important, and maybe this will help some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my hope. Either way, you have made just such a massive difference in my in my life. I mean, like the fact that we met when we met.
Right?
I was walking back to my car and I just happened to see it was David. David?
Drew.
Drew.
Yeah.
Drew had the pride flag on his lapel. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even stopped. I would have just walked by and kept on
Right.
going. But he had the pride pin, and I just kind of caught myself and came back, and I'm like, I want to know, I want this conversation, but I need somebody that can have it. And a lot of religious leaders, when we've talked to them, have gone, I don't know that I'm really, like, I can share my story and think, but I don't know that I really want to get into the history and all the things around it. And I think some of it is just maybe discomfort, maybe some other, I mean, there's a lot of things.
Fear of not having done enough research is a big
Or
thing.
not having the answer for all the
right?
questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah. And so, I mean, the fact that, I mean, I don't know. I think I was even looking at Drew at the time, and you were just like, actually, yeah, I can do this. And I go, perfect. And, it sparked a friendship. And I mean, I've done stuff for you. You've done stuff for me. And, yeah, I just appreciate so much you coming on the podcast, talking with us, sharing your expertise. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my hope. That's my hope. Spread
Yeah.
the love.
Yeah. The 2 commandments of love.
That's right. Love. Just narrowed it down. Just love.
It is love.
Just love.
It is love.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga's back in.
Right?
Daphne has spoke very fondly of you.
Aw.
And I've become a fan too because I kind of felt bad. We did some
Right,
did
filming and it just didn't work
filming,
out.
and
Yeah.
and then we were leaving and Daphne says, "What do you think of Heather? Isn't she great?" I'm like, "She was there. I didn't even meet her." And I felt so bad because I was so like single-minded,
Focused on getting things done, yeah.
being tech guy, and I didn't get to meet you. And I was like, okay, but today I did.
Yeah.
And I now know what a Moabite thing
What
is.
a Moabite is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tribes and
The not a Mennonite.
and the
The
Mennonite.
Mennonite.
And yeah, there was a lot of information there, and I think I did a good job with trying to keep up and pay attention, only because you definitely have a fluency with it, and the way you explain things and the way you talk, and you have such you're deliberate with what you say, like that. I was like, we're done now, like this is it. And I would like to hear more and maybe
Yeah.
have another follow-up and bring you on back, because I
Sure.
thoroughly enjoyed everything that you had to say.
Sure.
And-
Always happy
And this
to
is
be
coming
here.
from someone that does not like religion.
This is most of my queer group. They're
It
all
is.
like, they all tell their friends, you should come to my church, and they're like, you go to a what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just felt like there was an instant comfort, and I was just like, oh, I want to hear more. Oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna do
Right.
this. We're gonna talk about. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
hear
Right.
more. And I do think you're a very remarkable person. And just when I could tell you were getting a little emotional, and it was like, don't cry because you're gonna make me cry too. And like there was an empathy, and I felt
Yes.
I felt comfortable
Yes.
with you, but I also felt empathetic with what you were saying. And I too want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm not
thank you so
as
much.
rare as people think I am. It's just that I have a lot of clergy friends who are right here with me and
Yes.
share the same theology, share the same values, who are maybe less willing to make a fool of themselves than I am, but who are also very much devoted to trans rights, to queer rights, to devoted to love. I mean, that's why we get into this, because we love.
So if somebody
Yeah.
wants to find a queer-friendly church, how do they do that?
So I'm affiliated with Reconciling Ministries, and You could just Google Reconciling Ministries. You can also Google Open and Affirming Churches. There are a couple different. Affirming in Christ is like the Lutheran, I believe, version of it.
Okay.
I do recommend, mainline denominations are usually safer. So the UCC, the United Methodist Church, Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, which I know sounds weird because like they have evangelical in their name.
Right.
Evangel is referring to the good news. So the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America are actually the liberal ones. The PCUSA, Presbyterian Church USA, are the liberal ones. But even within our more progressive denominations, I highly recommend looking up churches that call themselves reconciling.
Okay.
And have what we call a reconciling statement on their website. Because what it means to be a reconciling church is that we are penitent for the past, and it means that we have come out as a church, as open and affirming, to take the fear out of you coming in.
Yes. I've read the letter.
Right?
Yes.
So not every church who is a part of the United Methodist denomination is a safe church.
Right.
Not every church, and that grieves my heart.
And same with Lutheran and same for
Episcopal.
Episcopal, yeah.
So I really recommend choosing a reconciling congregation, looking for rainbow flags, looking for LGBTQIA folks in leadership, looking for women in leadership.
Also, a lot of these churches have websites where you can see stuff like that, especially if they're not LGBTQ friendly. In their question and answer session or what do we believe, you can almost always find it in there.
Well, and especially if there's no mention at all, no mention is usually bad mention.
Yeah.
And say, oh, we welcome you however you are, and then they want to change you.
Yes.
People are not
All
furniture.
are welcome.
Yeah, all are welcome, and then we're going to fix you. People are not furniture. We do not need to be fixed.
I need fixed, but that's why I'm going in for surgery.
Right, right. So yeah, that's to me, it's people who have come to and a lot of churches have their sermons, have their worship online. Visit an online worship first, because
that's a good option.
that takes some of the risk out of it.
Yes.
Churches are on various platforms. My current church's worship's on Zoom. But our Zoom link is on our website. And we worship, it's just how they got started, because we like to be able to pull our people in during worship.
And I still got to go fix your system.
Right? Not that. But, you can always leave your camera turned off. You can always,
yes,
use a different name. But check churches out online and see how they actually look, who has power, who gets to speak, what kind of announcements they're making.
Yes.
What kind of charities.
It's okay to turn it off.
Yeah, because, churches that are doing Operation Christmas Child, probably not safe.
Yeah.
Churches that are giving to Lutheran World Relief or UMCOR, United Methodist Committee on Relief. We have just a really long name for ours. Churches who are talking about opportunities to join in a protest or help the unhoused are probably going to be your safer churches than churches who are like, let's collect school supply bags for the local school in the rich neighborhood.
We have a vending machine downtown.
Right. So, So look at the people, but try it out online. And once you try it out online, then show up at not a holy day. So don't try it on Easter, Christmas or Easter, because it's always going to be different and weird. Go on some random Sunday.
Yeah.
And see how people treat you.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Is there any shameless shout outs here you want to call out your own
Sure.
congregation, or if you
Yeah.
don't want to, I mean, anything like that, if you want people to
I'm-
find you?
Yeah, I'm happy to call out Montevilla United Methodist Church is the church that I pastor, and we are in coalition with a group of other small United Methodist churches that we call EPIC. And so
that's cool.
Pastor Drew is at Tabor Heights. Pastor Elizabeth is at Lincoln Street. Lincoln Street has the best kids programs, and they already have queer families in their programs. So if you're looking for a place where your kiddos will feel safe and be with other kids whose families look like yours, highly recommend Lincoln Street United Methodist Church. We just don't have any kids. We have young adults, and we
Right.
have octogenarians and nonagenarians.
If
yeah.
they want to tune in online, what time do you guys do that?
We are 10 a.m.
10 a.m. And this is Pacific time.
Yeah.
And I want to because our listeners are all over the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if they
over.
want to join, it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. If they're looking for your website, it is Montevilla.
Well, it's okay.
There's
It
two
is
L's.
Montevilla. But it's not Spanish.
It's not. It's
So-
Italian.
No, there was a trolley line. And there was a trolley in Portland, and the name of the stop in the area, Mount Tabor Village. Monte
Villa.
Village. So that's what fit on the trolley
Montevilla.
scrolly thingy. So it's actually the shortened version of the trolley stop.
Right. So it's Montevilla Methodist Church. They can find you. You are on Facebook, aren't you?
Let me pull up the. We're not.
Or the website,
we're
anyways?
not very present.
The point
on
is if they
Facebook.
want to see it, we're based in Portland, and so that kind of helps you get an idea of whereabouts we are, what time zone to be looking for.
Okay, so we are montevillaumc.org.
Okay.
And our worship time, montevillaumc.org, and our link to get into our Zoom worship is right on our front page. So,
Perfect.
yeah, Pacific time. So 10 a.m.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of early for some folks on the East Coast, but you can join in your jammies.
No, it's the opposite way.
Oh, it's the opposite?
It's the
I always
opposite.
get
It would be
lost.
1 p.m. on Eastern.
Okay, well then be in the afternoon. So you have time to have your
They
coffee.
could still be in pajamas. Who's
right?
judging?
Who's judging? Right. If Sunday's your day off.
Yeah. So again, Heather, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Again, this means just so much to me. You mean a lot to me, and yeah, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciated this, and I've enjoyed it.
I have too. I'm so glad we met.
Also, it's always fun to pick at you.
Right.
Yeah. If you yourself, wow.
Get there.
If you yourself would like to be a guest on the Transplanting Podcast, the contact is Daphne@transplantingpodcast.com, or you can visit our website, also transplantingpodcast.com. Bear with us as we continue to recover
yeah.
our socials.
That's a big
and
deal. So
that is an issue. Go
let's
ahead,
let's
Daph.
go ahead and talk
Go
about
ahead,
that
yeah,
real
talk
quick.
about
Okay,
that.
so I got totally banned from Facebook. Like I got out of nowhere. It was just over the course of 2 minutes. It was you were suspended, and 2 minutes later it was you were completely banned off of
Wow.
Facebook, and I lost Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So I'm in the process. I created a new profile. I'm in the process of trying to gain our Facebook page
Recover
back
that.
and to be
Recover
able to
that.
control
Yeah.
that. So I'm in the process of trying to get these things going again. But in the meantime, some of those things are not going to be moving anytime soon.
Yeah.
But Spotify and YouTube will,
Yes.
and Apple Podcasts and all the things like that.
Yes, and so bear with us as we recover those. And otherwise, thanks again, Heather, for joining us today. And oh man, I just cannot talk today. And otherwise, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.
I'm gonna get it right.
And as always,
Welcome to the family. I got it right.
Yay!